Welcome to another exciting edition to GroveCityHockey Presents
Hockey in our neck of the woods, and you, sir, were a very talked about person towards the end.
I'm a fifth-year senior, well, it's my 6th year of college. Incredible.
Hey guys, we want to say thank you to our sponsor, Cutshield, for bringing you this episode. Make sure you check them out on the link below and use the promo code for 25% off your order. Used by all 32 NHL teams and players, Cutshield is the premier protective player clothing designed by players for players. Their innovative cut-resistant clothing has prevented serious injury to numerous players, including over 30 NHL players. Cutshield gives you the peace of mind to go out and play without worrying about injury. Use our promo code GroveCityHockey, all lowercase and no space, for an additional 25% off your order today.
Hi, my name is Dan Webb. I'm the founder and inventor of 43 Degree Sports and our heated hockey bag. It's a first of its kind, patented heated hockey bag that gets hot enough to kill odor-causing bacteria and sanitize and dry the equipment. It's a completely self-contained system so that the only air that can escape the bag is the air that's been sanitized, so you can do it in a hotel room, in your living room, in your car, or in an apartment, and you're never gonna smell hockey ever again. 43 degrees is the minimum temperature in Celsius that the bag needs to reach in order to kill the harmful bacteria. So that converts to around 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Just like a fever in your body, we need to get that temperature well over 100 to start killing the harmful bacteria and make your pads smell fresh. The hype and excitement around this event is just undeniable, and we are so happy and excited to be here, especially in Southern California. What a great event to showcase how hockey is strong all over the country and all over the world, and especially roller hockey. Being in a place where it's always sunny and it's always warm, having access to a rink like this allows hockey to thrive in the area, and you can really see it on the rinks here with all the talent and skill, even at the 8-year-old players.
Welcome to GCA Podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, and with me is a very special guest all the way from 43 Degree Hockey is Dan Webb. How you doing today, Dan?
I'm doing great, man. Good to be here. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. I'm excited to talk about your product. You have an innovative product that has never been really seen before in the marketplace, and I'm excited to hear about it, and I want you to tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so we have 43 Degree Sports. We invented and patented a series of heated sports equipment bags that get hot enough to kill harmful bacteria and sanitize and dry equipment. So our flagship product is our heated hockey bag that takes care of that harmful bacteria that makes hockey gear just be absolutely unbearable and dangerous and toxic to you and your entire family. So it's a completely self-contained system and only allows air to escape the bag that's been sanitized. So you can do it in a hotel room or in an apartment or on road trips, and you're never, ever going to smell anything that's going on inside the bag. It's a really groundbreaking product that we are just so excited to be releasing out to the world now, to finally have an easy, simple, effective solution for disgusting, smelly hockey gear. So yeah, that's our company and our product.
So you mean to tell me that you're not going to smell the great, amazing smell of the hockey sweat?
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, it's been, in our opinion, it's been far too long for hockey that we've all just been like, oh, you know, hockey, it smells terrible, but whatever, that's just hockey, nothing you can do. But you know, the pads smell that bad because there's millions and millions and sometimes billions of harmful bacteria that are living and breeding and surviving time and time again every time you're playing inside of your gear, and that can present a whole multitude of problems, from sickness to skin infections to, you name it. And, so our bag is it kills 96% of bacteria in shin guards and elbow pads and most of your padded equipment. And it kills 89% of bacteria and any leathers and any of those harder to get pads. And so it takes away all of the smell, because the smell is coming from the bacteria. And when you eliminate the bacteria, you eliminate the smell.
That's awesome. Now, I guess my question would be, to help kind of beef that up, could you spray like some Lysol on there to kind of essentially kill or get that extra level of protection without really doing any damage to the bag?
Yes, you absolutely can do that. We pride ourselves on saying that you don't have to add any chemicals or any sort of additives in order to, my mom would always spray Febreze on my pads and stuff when I was growing up. And I always found that the mixture of the hockey smell and the fresh meadow would not only agitate my skin more, but just kind of be such a crazy smell that it would kind of overwhelm me. I do have plenty of customers that reach out all the time saying that they do that. I have a friend and a customer who uses lemon juice and white vinegar that he puts into a spray bottle, and he sprays that on some of his pads and puts it in there. I do have, people who have used Lysol spray and Febreze and all kinds of things. You absolutely can use anything that you would like to use, but you absolutely don't have to. All of those chemicals are just kind of masking the bacteria and the smell that's happening. But again, when you get it hot enough, just like a fever in your body, if you get it hot enough, the bacteria can't survive, and you take away the bacteria and you take away the smell. One thing we do recommend, though, is we call it the freshness cycle, where if you just take some dryer sheets and toss the dryer sheets inside of the bag, that will soak up a little bit of extra moisture and also take any of the remaining odors that are inside the bag. And then when you do open the bag, it smells like you just did the laundry every time. It's pretty incredible.
Well, you can't beat that. The only reason why I asked that is because, you're going to have those moms that are going to be like, overprotective, want to kill every last bit that they can. But I have to say that, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but I'm going to be a little disappointed that I'm not going to get that hockey smell, because when I first came back after being away for 7.5 years, was that hockey smell. And I went, My God, I miss the smell. And I'll never forget it. I walked back into Ellenberger Park Arena in Ellenberger Park, Indianapolis. And it was like, as soon as I walked in, the smell hit me, and I was like, I'm finally home. And I missed it because I hadn't stepped foot in any kind of hockey arena or rink in 7.5 years. So when I stopped playing, I went cold turkey. I didn't even watch hockey. I didn't even play hockey. I didn't even listen to a game on the TV. I did nothing. I literally just cut it off cold turkey. I even stopped watching sports altogether, and just kind of started doing some outdoorsy stuff, going hunting, because I picked that up when I was in Africa, was really getting into the hunting scene and conservation. So I was like really not necessarily geared toward, but I was geeking out about that stuff during that time. And then when I had my son, going hunting every weekend was just not an option. Because you can't bring a baby out there.
A lot of reasons for that.
Right, you can't bring a baby when it's just you and him after day 12. So you just kind of have to take a step back and focus on him, focus on the family for a little bit, and hopefully one day, because he keeps asking me, Dad, when are we going to go hunting? And I'm like, well, you're going to be 5 next year, but if you can't sit still and be quiet, we're not going to go.
But that's amazing. Well, I do get that. I mean, of course, the hockey smell is nostalgic for all of us, but definitely something that our brains are tricking us into thinking is a good thing. It's funny that once you do start using the 43-degree bag, my wife actually is a Southern California girl, so she didn't really know much at all about hockey until we met, and she, fully got the bug and is completely obsessed with the Avalanche now, like I am. And she bought a full set of gear and learned to play hockey lessons, and now plays hockey. So she's used a 43-degree bag since day one. So her gear has never ever smelled, and she is not used to that. And so now when we go to the rinks, and she came to Narch with me in Irvine earlier this year, and we were walking around through, what I call the gear graveyard out there, with everyone just airing their stuff out in the sun. And like, she was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this. I totally forgot how bad this smell is," and like, it's real. The nostril sting is all those bacteria just getting right inside right away.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like you said, it is bad for you, and we need to move forward and change, because those skin infections are bad. I mean, you can develop MRSA, you can develop a staph infection, ringworm, all of these topical treatments that you're going to have to do. It's just not fun because it's going to keep you from playing the game. Because then you have to tape, you have to make sure you got some protective coverage on. You're going to have to either spend more money on new equipment that you may not have at that time. Mm-hmm. So maybe having a equipment bag that's going to help eliminate, almost 97% of the bacterium that is in, that coming out of your body as you're playing, is definitely something that all parents and all players should be thinking about getting. What an amazing product. So what made you to want to develop a product like this?
It was just exactly what we've been talking about this whole time. When I was in high school and my gear started to smell so foul that my dad would strap my bag to the roof of the car when we drove to the rink because he just wasn't going to smell it. So we, started thinking that there's got to be a solution to this. So we started with the theory, just like a fever in your body. If you can get it hot enough, you can kill this bacteria. And the problem lies with bacteria. So the first thing that we did is, and there are several products like this that do exist now, we made a big, giant metal locker. And we put a bunch of heat fans inside of it and got to figure out that, okay, if you got it to the right temperature and you had the correct amount of air movement inside of there, then you could dry the gear and you could take away the smell by reducing the bacteria. So being a hockey player, I was like, okay, that's awesome that it works, but like, no one's going to do that, especially like high school kids. They're not going to take their crap out of their gear. At best, you're going to get to hang stuff up, but you're not putting piece by piece in the locker and turning the locker on and all that stuff. So I was like, if this is really going to be a viable solution to this problem, we're going to have to make a system that is foolproof so that you can't damage your equipment. It's easy to use, and you can make it so that it not only we want it to improve and streamline and shorten the time of your hockey routine rather than lengthen and add to it, right? So throughout this process, so many awesome things have come out. Like, we first never really thought about preheating your equipment. So you can preheat your stuff so that you turn your bag on an hour before you go to the rink. Your gear gets up over 100 degrees so that you're putting your gloves and your skates on. They're soft and they're warm. The leathers are broken in. Your toes are warm. Your gloves are warm, especially if you're, in a northern place or skating outside on a frozen pond. It is an absolute dream to be putting on warm gear. And another part of it was that every hockey player has that nightmare where you forget a skate or a vital piece of equipment at home and you can't play in the big game and you're screwed. So with our system, you're leaving your stuff in your bag all the time. The only time you're taking it out of your bag is when you're putting it on your body to play. As soon as you get off the ice, get back in the locker room, take your gear off, put it back in the bag, plug it in, turn it on, let the bag do the hard work for you. So there, you're not leaving your skate at home or leaving a glove at home when you're airing your gear out, constantly doing transfers back and forth. Your gear lives inside your bag. It's always clean. It's always dry. It's preheated if you want it to be preheated. And you're never going to lose any of your equipment anymore either.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for those of you that don't know, when we say 43 degrees, it's not 43 degrees Fahrenheit, is it?
No, it's Celsius. So it's that is the minimum temperature that we safely want the entire bag to get to start eliminating that bacteria. So 43 degrees Celsius is around 109 degrees Fahrenheit. So again, like a fever, you need to get that temperature comfortably over 100 degrees. But if it isn't over 100, the bacteria is actually breeding and getting way, way worse. Just like if you've ever left your bag in the trunk of your car on a hot day and then you open it and it's just 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we want it to get to 43 or 109, 110 degrees throughout the whole bag. So even if the far bottom corner is a little bit less hot than the rest of the bag, it's still over 100 degrees, and it's still eliminating that bacteria and making the problem better, not adding to it.
And so how long does it take to eliminate that bacteria? So when I plug in, so let's say I get done with my shift my game, I put all my stuff in my gear, in my bag, and I want to, I plug it in. How long does it take from start to finish?
So that time does depend on two main factors. One, the size of your equipment, right? If you're a youth player, it's going to take drastically less time than, I'm 6'3" and I wear all extra large gear. So like my stuff takes much longer. And of course, if you sweat a lot, it's going to be, more moisture in there that it's going to have to dry out. So that'll take longer. So we say for youth players, it's 6 to 8 hours. For adult players, it's more 9 to 12 hours. Okay. So normally you're just leaving it overnight, and it's doing more than enough. By that time, you can also, I do have videos on our social media from the Wish Cup last year where a bunch of pro players on the best shift team had 5 hours between games, and Mr. Hefty, a goalie, and a couple of their skaters dried their stuff just for 5 hours in between the games, and it was mostly dry, and hot and mostly dry and sanitized is endlessly preferable to cold and wet and smelly, so we do recommend most of the time just leaving it overnight. And the best way to eliminate the optimum amount of bacteria, which all of our scientific testing has been based around, is a 12-hour heat cycle. Okay. So if you do it for 12 hours, you are absolutely going to completely dry even the largest and the sweatiest gear, and you're going to eliminate all of that bacteria.
Well, and then another thing that I was just thinking of is that maybe you could do it in shifts before those games that you have, like those 5 hours. So you just want to throw your shins and your gloves in there, and for 2.5 hours, and then you take those out and throw your skates and your jersey and your elbows or whatever, or your helmet. Throw those in there for the other 2.5 hours. That should kind of help balance it out a little bit, so that way you're not drying all of your gear right at the same time. That might be an option as well.
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely could do that, but the bag is big enough and more has enough space, and it's designed so that you can just put all your stuff in there, and it'll easily do everything all at the same time. There wouldn't really be much of it breaking up that cycle unless you were wanting to air dry it a little bit for some reason. But again, our testing really has found that air drying is, of course, it's drying it out, and it seems as though it is reducing the smell, because when the bacteria is drying out, it's essentially going dormant. So you're not smelling it, it's not breeding, but as soon as you heat that back up and you sweat it in again on your next skate, you're just reactivating that bacteria that's already living in there, and then you're adding new bacteria to it, which is breeding with the old bacteria and just creating this awful cycle that then leads to pads smelling the way they do. So,
yeah. Well, I was more saying if you're trying to kill as much bacteria as you can in between games before your next game. But I do see what you're saying. It's better to get all of your gear, let it dry out overnight. Get that 9 to 12 hour range for those bigger adult players. So
exactly, and the other end to that too, and I get asked this question all the time is, well, do I have to turn it off right at 12 hours? Is there a problem if I go over that? Absolutely not. The bag is made so that you can. I had a customer who reached out to me who splits his time between California and Toronto, and he by mistake left his bag on for 3 months, and all of his stuff was completely fine. He was like, I went to go preheat my bag tonight, and it was on, which means it's been on, and everything is completely fine. I actually went down a long road with several of the major hockey manufacturer companies that I cannot name drop because of non-disclosure agreements, but they did tons and tons of testing on it for me to make sure that this wasn't going to melt plastics or hurt skates or, cause damage to any equipment. And so what they came back with was that 180 degrees Fahrenheit was where baked skates could get affected and glues and helmets could start to melt. So our bag never gets above 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
So we're 40 degrees below that potential even beginning of the pain point for the overheating. So you are well over that 100 degrees mark at 140, where you're just eliminating that bacteria in a very effective way, but you're nowhere near the 180 that's going to hurt your gear or have any risk of potential harm to anything. So, you don't have to worry about there being any negative side effects or anything at all. It's completely designed that all you got to do is plug it in, turn it on, and forget about it. And, I have several people who say, I skate 2 or 3 times a week, and I just leave my bag on all the time. I come home, I plug it in, I turn it on, and then when I go to skate the next time, my stuff's already preheated because my bag's been on the whole time. So if you want to go that route, you absolutely can. But it really is a dream to upgrade your routine to have preheated skates, to never worry about leaving equipment home, and have bacteria-free, odor-free gear for you and the entire family. I have a lot of very happy hockey moms and dads out there who, are buying this for their kids, but it's really more for them than it is the kids, so.
Well, I feel like it's pretty cool because you're able to you get all new gear, and it's going to stay fresher. It's going to stay cleaner longer, and it's going to feel like brand new equipment every time you put it on with this new design. So I think that's pretty cool.
One thing that I was not expecting at all was one of my biggest clients are goalies. Goalies are absolutely loving it, and when I was first starting this out, I was not a goalie, and, logically I was thinking, one every 30 to 50 players is a goalie. So I probably shouldn't focus on them right away. But the more research I'm getting and the more bags I'm selling, I'm learning now that, goalies, one, their equipment is so expensive to begin with. So they want to take extra good care of it. 2, they have tons and tons of leather in all their equipment, and leather is really hard to kill bacteria in because the bacteria hides in the oils of the leather. And when the leather dries out, the oil subtracts into the middle of the leathers, and not even bleach and soap in a bathtub can kill the bacteria in leathers. But when you heat them, you bring those oils up to the surface and allow the heat to actually attack that bacteria and eliminate it that way. So it works wonders for all of the goalie equipment, not only for the smell and the bacteria reduction, but they also call it the butter glove, where if you preheat your gear, it really softens the leather so that your catching glove will flap and snatch close faster than any time you've ever had it before. I have tons of testimonials from Dobbsy and Mr. Heffy and the TikTok goalie and all kinds of, big goalies that I'm sure all the goalies out there listening to this know and love, who, are just absolutely beside themselves and loving the product, because you can preheat your gear and have it be at the exact right place where you want it to be. So especially for goalies that are so mental, you can start every game feeling your best, feeling confident, and play your best from the first shift.
Yeah, and what better way to break in your new gear too? Especially rub some oils on your gloves and get it preheated, and then you can really do the work that you need to do to get the gloves and the pads feeling the way that you want them to feel, so that way you can perform your best. Wow, what an amazing product. Now, is there a temperature setting that you have? I think we talked. You briefly said that there's 3 different temperature settings.
Yeah, so there's a remote on it. The system is just a standard wall plug that you plug into the wall. A switch on it for 3 different temperatures. We do recommend cranking it all the way up for the best sanitization and killing of the bacteria. That setting, the top setting, is called hot. So we do recommend pretty much always cranking it all the way up to hot, but we did want to have 2 lesser temperatures in there, mainly for preheating, so that if you want to preheat your stuff and maybe you're in a cold weather place where you don't want your gear to be cold, but you don't necessarily want your gear to be hot, you can preheat it to the warm or the dry setting so that it gets warm and it's, easy to use, but is not, you're not sweating before you're already out on the ice if you don't want to approach it that way as well. We mentioned one of the members of Team 43, and one of our great ambassadors is John Schiavo, and he called me last year and was going to the rink in Minnesota, and he had his bag in the back of his pickup truck, and it was negative 20 degrees outside. So he drove to the rink, went to go unzip it, and the zipper was frozen shut. So luckily he had my bag. So he went to the locker room, he plugged it in, turned it on. He said he tried the zipper 2 minutes later, zipper came right open, and then he left the bag on for a half an hour, and he was putting on warm, soft equipment while everyone else was scraping ice out of their gloves and, just putting everything on and trying to get it to break in and get ready so that you could even play in it, So having that, especially in cold weather areas, is a complete game changer.
Man, that's amazing. So Dan, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey in hockey? What was it something that you were kind of like brought into like by your parents? Was it something you just you saw on TV? It was like, hey, Dad, can I play some hockey? So tell us how you got started in playing hockey.
Well, as we briefly chatted about before we hopped on here, that we're both huge Colorado Avalanche fans. So like so many other people in Colorado, I grew up in Denver, and a huge skiing and snowboarding family, big winter sports people, but not at all hockey people. And all of a sudden, 95 came, and we had an NHL team, and what do you know, they won the Stanley Cup immediately. And, there's no better to get an entire state and community of people to fall in love and at the very least be, intrigued and interested in what this new sport was. And, I couldn't have gotten the bug any harder. And I was, convincing my mom to let me, go to the rink for the Avs practice at down the street from my house to take skating lessons and learn how to play. And, I was 10 or 11 at that time. So I was, much later and older than most kids that start playing hockey. But, as soon as I started playing, it was undeniable that it's just the best sport. I was always kind of bored with baseball and football and sports where the whistle is always blowing and there's a lot of standing around, and the undeniable excitement of hockey when you strap your whole suit of armor on and, close the door of the rink and, nothing else matters. And it's all just speed and skill, So I've been a huge fan my whole life, and then, played my whole life and played club in college in upstate New York, and, still skate several times a week. And, luckily one of my childhood best friends, and still one of my best friends this day, is Dom Granato, and his father, Tony Granato, was the assistant and the head coach of the Avalanche when we were in middle school and high school. So he is just one of the best people on the planet, just the nicest dude. I mean, he's got some pretty lengthy suspensions from the NHL, but, other than that, he's just the best guy. And, so we'd go to games with him and go in the locker room afterwards and wait for him to wrap up and then get to drive home from the rink with coach. And it was just like, being a middle school hockey player, there couldn't have been anything cooler in the world, So I will always be a diehard Avalanche fan because of that. And, hockey will always just be my favorite thing in the world, So it truly is a dream come true to, after 20 plus years of patenting and perfecting this product, to be releasing it to the hockey world and to have such a solution to a problem that we all deal with every day with smelly, disgusting, terrible hockey equipment. And if we can get that part out of hockey, it's wild to think that hockey could get even better, but we think it can, so that's our mission, and we're really, really excited to be all in on it now. So thank you so much for having us, and letting us get our message out there, because we are just so excited to shout it on the top of the rooftops to anyone that can hear, because especially once you see and feel the technology for yourself, it really is undeniable.
Yeah, I'm excited to take a look at it and see it up close and personal when I get a chance to order one for my son. I think it's
we'll get you one, man. Absolutely.
it'll be really cool, because he keeps going, Dad,
can I play hockey this year? And I'm like, no, man, you're just a bit young. Like
That's
we'll
awesome.
get you in the Learn to Skate program.
Yeah.
But you gotta keep wearing your inline skates, bud. You gotta keep wearing those skates.
Mhm.
And he can skate fairly decent on his inlines when he wants to.
Oh, good.
He's one of those. He's a flirt on the rink. So he's always looking for the girls to hold hands and help help him skate, even though he doesn't really need it. But yeah,
That's funny.
and my wife, she's a big hockey. She's gonna be a hockey mom. I know our daughter's already. She will sit there and she will watch the game. I know you have a 13-month-old daughter. I have a 15-month-old daughter, and I have a feeling that our daughters are going to be playing on the rink at some point together.
That would be so cool. Yeah, my daughter already loves. I got a mini hockey net right here on the floor in the corner, and my wife and I just like rip slap shots at it, and she just screams at the top of her lungs and claps her hands, and it's just the coolest thing ever. So yeah, man, what a dream that would be to watch her play someday. That would be cool. Yeah.
Yep, I know we're gonna get. I know Ryan Marker's got a daughter, Maisie. I think she's 13 months as well, or she'll be. Maybe she's not quite a year, but she's getting there. But yeah, so I mean, like they're within a few months of each other. That one, and there's one other one too. I can't think of off the top of my head.
We got to put a team together.
Tyler Kraft's daughter.
Nice.
Tyler Kraft and Kyla Kraft. I think that'd be amazing. To get, I mean, right there, got a starting lineup right there.
Yeah, power play unit.
My daughter, she, so like one of the high school hockey teams had a pretty successful run in the state playoffs this last year, and
nice.
my wife's cousin's husband, Billy Zalba, who I've had on the pod. He played professionally with the Muskegon Lumberjacks, and he was assisting on the team. And my daughter was like sitting there literally just watching the whole game. And they're a fairly young team this year. So like last year they had a sophomore goalie, and they went to the state semifinals and before they lost to Detroit Catholic Central. But man, so like this team is a young up and comer. They only lost 6 seniors last year, so they're bringing pretty much everybody back. So it's going to be a fun team to watch. So, but yeah, and another interesting factoid, you mentioned Tony Granato, you mentioned winning the Stanley Cup in 95, 96. The goalie for the Florida Panthers, John Van Beesbrook, was actually one of the general managers here in Muskegon with the Muskegon Lumberjacks just a couple years ago, and I happened to walk by. And his son Ben Beesbrook has a State Farm insurance agency here in the area as well. So it's kind of nice knowing that our Avalanche boys knocked them out, but. I mean, what an incredible run that was. So, you had Forsberg, Sackett. I mean, that was just before the Lemieux incident. Man, what a phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I remember. I was born in '91, so I was just still a little guy when that happened. But I remember laying in my mom's bed and watching the overtime game, staying up late when Huey Krupp scored that clapper and won the cup, and incredible. There was a lot of fun storylines to that series with all the rats in the building and everything going on with that. What a fun team with Claude Lemieux and so many cool guys on that team. The Avs have been, we've been lucky with all the Hall of Famers and superstars and seemingly awesome guys that they've had on their team for decades now. Ray Bourque and Rob Blake, and you mentioned how much you love Patrick Waugh, and so many guys. Like I got the pleasure of meeting Milan Hajduk recently, and couldn't have been a nicer, better guy. And so many people that they have that were incredible. I met Eric Lacroix the other day, and he's a fantastic dude, and he does another podcast here for the Avalanche DNVR podcast that I'm hopefully gonna hop on there and talk to them on there sometime soon. But he's a great guy. And of course, his dad, Pierre, is, like you started saying at the beginning, the guy who made that Patty Waugh trade happen,
And you have to thank the coach for Montreal for screwing that one up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but
leaving him in for 10 goals, that's tough sledding. Can't leave him. And he, Patty's a bit of a hothead. Can't let that happen.
Yeah, I actually was it 10? I thought it was 8-1 because he got ran out on. So it's interesting. His last game in Montreal was the same amount of his last game in Colorado too, and by the same team.
Really?
Yeah, he got ran out by Detroit both games.
Oh, that's wild.
So
it was cool to hear him say recently when they just played a few weeks ago that he was. He did a lot of things wrong when he coached for the Avs and made a lot of mistakes and wished he would have handled things a little bit differently. What a, class act for doing that. Cause, that was definitely worked out with Jared Bednar and Cale Makar and everything that happened after that. But, he definitely put the boys in a tough spot for a while there.
Yeah, and he started out in a phenomenal position too. But excuse me, I can't complain. I love Bednar. He's been around for the last 9 years and one of the longest tenured coaches right now. Outside, I think of the who's the guy that has 13 years right now. The Boston coach.
Yeah, and no, isn't Pittsburgh's coach and Tampa's coach?
Okay,
I think are the only two. And of course, I'm blanking on both their names. I want to say too. Dan Bilesma, but that's not right.
No,
that's definitely wrong.
It's interesting you say Dan because Dan actually grew up in Muskegon, and so I've been trying to get him on the pod too, but to no success.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Cooper is Tampa, but I can't remember Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but I know, and it's sad because Grove City is based out of Pittsburgh, so I should know this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But man, that's where you live, right?
No, I live in Michigan.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so I live literally 2 minutes away from Lake Michigan, right there on the west side of the state, kind of about 2.5, 3 hours, about 3 hours from Chicago.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah, or if I want to take the ferry across, it's a straight shot across to Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Nice.
So. Yeah, because we have a coal? We have a coal ferry, one of the last remaining coal ferries in America. So, but there's there's a normal ferry too. But who wants to take the normal boat when you can take something that can sink in at any moment?
Yeah. To keep you on your toes boat. Yeah, definitely.
Right? Yeah. But yeah, so where can we get the 43-degree hockey bag?
Yeah, just head over to our website at 43degreesports.com, just spelled out, numbers 43 and then degreesports.com. And when you go on there will be a pop-up that'll come up. And if you just throw your email down to sign up for our mailing list, you get $43 off your first order. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that helps a little bit and get you on Team 43 and have you realize that once you have the improved system and having dry, clean, odor-free gear, you never want to go back. It's really truly game changing for you and the whole family. And really appreciate you having us on here. And maybe we'll have another promo code that we can do with the podcast here soon. But
awesome.
And any of your listeners or anything, if you're interested or ever have any questions or anything like that, on our website there's a contact us page, and anything you put on there just comes directly to me, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions or have a phone call with you or anything like that. I know it is like you said, a completely new and different product, and I am still at the phase where people are, it takes a little. There's some skepticism. There have been several bags in the past like this that have claimed to do what my product does, but have failed to deliver. Most notably, Shock Doctor had a bag that had a bunch of fans in it and stuff like that. And there are several other products that have fans in it to dry the equipment out. But fans have their own laundry list of problems with being loud and bulky, and they break easily. But at the root of it, they're just drying the equipment and they're not killing that bacteria, So that's back to what we were saying earlier, you're just prolonging the problem rather than solving the problem, So the only way to really take care of it is to get rid of that bacteria. And we're excited to finally provide that solution.
Yeah, you can always move air with fans, but you can't kill the bacteria without the heat. So
exactly.
43 degree sports hockey bag is probably one of the best new products on the market today. I highly recommend them, especially for those that are playing the ice hockey and in the roller hockey industry as well. Man, Dan, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to jump on the pod. It took a minute for us to connect because I reached out to you way back at Narch, but then you had some things come up. I had some things come up, and but I'm glad that we were able to finally connect. And man, I cannot wait to keep talking Colorado with you because I feel like I just got a new best friend.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, we're definitely going to be texting back and forth a lot about the Avs. That's always good to have a hockey friend to text back and forth with. So that'll absolutely be happening. And thank you so much for the support and having us on here. And excited to get you a bag soon so you can really experience it. And really looking forward to our girls playing together someday here in the near future.
We're gonna make it happen. I can feel it.
Yeah,
I can feel it.
No doubt. No doubt. Thank you so much, man. It was great meeting you, and thanks for having me.
Yep. And again, I'm Ben W. Stock. That's Dan Webb from 43 Degrees Sports. We will catch you guys on the flip side.
That's going to do it for this episode of GCH Podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, alongside Chris Greco. Thanks for tuning in. Please make sure you like and subscribe on all our platforms on YouTube and on Spotify. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Cheers.